Hey, everybody, it's time for another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic for today's program, the Tar Heels need style points. Before I get into that, quick reminder, this show is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. We'll have a word from them coming up in just a few minutes. Okay, so the Tar Heels need style points. What does that mean? Well, it means that the Tar Heels have reached a point in the season with a 6-0 record overall, 3-0 in the ACC. They're ranked number 10 in both major polls. Got the CFP poll coming out here in a couple of weeks. I would imagine that they'll be in the top 10 if they keep winning of the CFP poll as well, which would position them to make a serious push at a CFP spot, which is the college football playoff. Only 4 teams get in. So, in order to better situate themselves, the Tar Heels need style points. And what's interesting is I think they've already accumulated some style points, but the media is not really catching on. You would think that they would have moved up a little bit quicker than they have instead of 1 or 2 spots a week, given the fact that they have 5 wins over Power 5 teams by an average of 18.4 points a game. That's pretty damn good. They're also the only team in college football to have double-digit wins over 5 Power 5 opponents. They've beaten everybody by at least 10 points. The lowest margin was the 10 over Miami this past weekend. So they've done their job as far as getting some style points, but honestly, they've left points on the field. They had 4 field goals against Syracuse. They should have been in the 50s. They had 2 field goals. They botched it into the first half situation. They ended up giving Miami the ball and a chance to get 3 points. They could have had a 3-point swing right there. So 41-31, you're talking 44-28. They also missed opportunities to get in the end zone in the fourth quarter. So maybe it should have been 50-28, 51-28, whatever. Pittsburgh, same thing. They missed a few more opportunities late. They had to settle for field goals to get touchdowns. They could have won that. They could have been in the 50s there. So moving forward, especially with the games they have coming up the next 3 weeks, these are games that the national media is not going to really focus a whole lot on. You're probably not going to see much discussion on game day Saturday about UVA and Carolina, other than the fact it's the South's oldest rivalry. And they're 2 schools that are very, very similar. Mac talked about that in the press conference Monday. They should always play each other. So I'm sure he's looking ahead to the new look ACC next year when Cal, Stanford, and SMU come in. He would love to have Duke, State, and UVA on the schedule every year. So they do have UVA coming up. Not a lot of people are going to pay attention to it. It's on the CW at 6:30. So how does Carolina generate some attention? How do they move up and impress people in a game against a 1-5 team that had to come from behind for its only win? It was over an FCS team. They got to score a ton of points. They got to win big. They got to shut them out or shut them down, close to shutting them out, score a lot of points. I was talking with somebody about this 2 days ago when I was out doing my walk. Carolina fan I was talking to on the phone. And he asked me, he says, what do you think would be an appropriate style points number? And I said, I can't give you that. You have to see the game play out and see if they miss opportunities. But they need to win this game pretty convincingly. If it's 34-24, I don't think that's going to help them, especially when the CFP people start evaluating all this stuff. And you're judged right now against some subpar teams coming up. So a week later, they go to Georgia Tech. Now, I think Tech's dangerous. I think that's a losable game for the Tar Heels, but it shouldn't be. Because if UNC plays up to its standard, what has become its standard, the Tar Heels shouldn't have any issue with UVA, and they should take care of business down in Atlanta. Then they have Campbell coming in. Some people said Max shouldn't play the starters in that game, shouldn't play Drake. No, he needs to. Last thing they need is a 34-10 win over Campbell. They need to pile stuff on, man. It needs to be 42-0 in the first half. Play the starters the first half. Let the reserves play the second half. So the next 3 games are opportunities for Carolina to improve to 9-0. I don't think anybody watching this doesn't expect them to win each of the next 3 games, but there are also games and opportunities where they can have sizable margins. They're at 18.4 right now with teams that are Power 5, with their Power 5 opponents. That's 5 of them. But those clubs aren't very good. South Carolina's not helping them. Minnesota's not helping them. Yeah, Pitt beat Louisville. That helps a little bit. But Pitt has a ways to go before Pitt helps Carolina any. And it's going to require more ACC teams losing to Pitt to make the league look bad. Syracuse didn't help Carolina. 40-7 in Chapel Hill, 41-3 in Tallahassee. I mean, Syracuse is done. It was an injustice that they had to play the last 3 games that they did. Clemson, Carolina, and FSU. I think the ACC screwed them. But they are also the Syracuse team most of us thought they were. They're just not very good. They're not helping Carolina. Will Miami help Carolina? We don't know. The Georgia Tech loss doesn't help them, but it helps Georgia Tech, so we'll see how that plays out. But the Tar Heels need style points. They need to win big. They need to be flashing. They need to have highlight reel stuff. They need to be on the halftime shows. They need to be on the highlights at the end of the night. They need to do something that people see on Twitter. They need to do something to raise an eye to get some attention. That's what they need to do. All right, before I go on, and I'm going to read you some ranking stuff here, just to kind of give you an idea of what's left for the Tar Heels overall on the schedule, to sort of hammer down the point that style points are necessary. But first, let's hear from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy.
Yes, guys, we are so excited to be partnered with Underdog Fantasy. And we decided to partner with Underdog because it's the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and it's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry right now as well. And Underdog Fantasy has so much to offer, including their Pick'em game. And in Pick'em, you pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. It's so easy to play. Just pick 2 to 5 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. And you can 20x your money by going just 5 for 5. They also have a Best Ball Mania. If you think you know football, you need to check this one out. This year's Best Ball Mania has $15 million in total prizes up for grabs, with the winner taking home $3 million. So sign up today with the promo code HEEL, HEEL, and get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. And don't forget to register with that promo code HEAL to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. And if you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncpgambling.org. Back to the show.
All right, so the Tar Heels have 6 games left in the regular season in their quest to become legitimate, serious, door-kicking in contenders for the college football playoff. They got UVA this weekend. If you look at the Sagarin rankings, and all the rankings are different, but a lot of people like to, in my business, like to use Sagarin for stuff like this. Virginia's rated 98th. You got to pummel them. You got to win by 4 or 5 touchdowns. Okay, Georgia Tech's 82nd. That's on the road. I think when Georgia Tech is good, they're probably in the 40s. When Georgia Tech is bad, they're probably in the low 90s. Then Campbell, FCS team. After that, Duke comes to Chapel Hill or goes to Chapel Hill. Duke's 26 and might have the best defense of anybody Carolina faces all year, maybe even the most physical. Then the Tar Heels go to Clemson. Clemson's currently 20th in the Sagarin. And then the Tar Heels go to NC State. NC State is currently 60th in the Sagarin. So there are 2 opportunities to win games that just by virtue of winning, Carolina should score some respect points. The other 4, they're going to have to win by significant margins, even NC State on the road. Now, we know that NC State's going to run out of the tunnel, and they're going to be Michigan and Alabama that day. And Carolina will prepare for them to be that because it's on the road. Imagine if Carolina's 11-0 cruising into Carter Finley. That place will be a freaking zoo. It'll be awesome. But the people who are 1,000 and 1,500 and 2,000 miles away won't really think about that dynamic. They'll look at whatever state's ranking is and say, you only beat them by how much? I don't know, guys. So the Tar Heels need style points. Virginia, you need to beat Georgia Tech, but also try to get a few style points there. Hammer Campbell, take care of State, and then just beat Duke and Clemson. If they do that and they're 12-0, then I think the Tar Heels may do enough with the style points that it'll just depend on who else is out there, what other teams have done. Is Washington still undefeated? Is Ohio State? You got Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan in the Big Ten. You've got Oklahoma in the Big 12. You've got Florida State. So there are other outstanding contenders. So all the Tar Heels can do is take care of their own business and do so with style points. If they do that, they're going to have a much better shot at getting into the CFP. If you think the Tar Heels are legitimate contenders for the CFP, and if you want them to produce massive style points in the coming games, go ahead and click like on this video. Make sure you also subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you get updates every time we upload. Let your friends know we're here. Not just our channel here, guys, but our website. For just $8.33 a month, you can be an insider too. You can know a ton about UNC football, basketball, and recruiting that you're never going to hear us talk about on these podcasts, and you're never going to see on front page content. So head on over there or buy a subscription for a friend. You got holiday season coming up. Get a few of them, give them away to some friends. That'll be a great gift. And it's a lot cheaper than a drive-through number or a number meal at a drive-through. I talk about that all the time. Before I used to say it's almost as much as a drive-through meal. Now it's less than a drive-through meal. So the drive-through meal was almost as much. Whatever. You guys know what I mean. Anyway, I'm AJ. I'll see you tomorrow.